Welcome to episode 8 of Exorcast. I'm your host.
Welcome to episode 7 of Exorcast.
Oh, my bad.
And that's why Chuck is not the host.
That's why I'm not the host. That's why I don't. I sucked when I was hosting my own podcast.
Host, you don't edit, you don't.
That's right.
Yeah.
I just show up.
He just shows up and fucks things up. So yes, welcome to episode 7 of Exorcast. And
we're leaving that in.
We are, absolutely. Tonight we are checking out some more films that are on Tubi.
At the time of recording, because these two supposedly are leaving soon.
Yes, but you can still get them on DVD and Blu-ray. A very nice Blu-ray.
Does anything ever really leave? Anything really leave? That's all I want to know.
It almost always leaves briefly and then comes right back.
Or it'll go to a different streaming service.
Yes.
I thought Devil's Rejects was leaving. Ain't it still on there?
It might have left briefly and came back.
Oh.
Or it might not have left yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But tonight we're checking out Waxwork I and II because James had never seen either.
Correct.
Amazing that you've never seen it.
I've had the DVDs forever. Got the Vestron ones eventually, just because it was dirt cheap from Grindhouse Video. Plug.
With the slipcase or without the slipcase?
With.
Ooh.
I need that Blu-ray set.
But I actually watched them on Tubi. I did not watch the Blu-rays. This was a conversation we had earlier today. But yeah, I always was interested in it because it always seemed like a good concept, interesting idea. So we were kind of trying to come up with something interesting we could watch on Tubi that would be something we could watch and record about the same time we recorded Night Killer, and just fit.
And I don't know about your guys' opinion on it, but it's nice to complement some bad with some good.
You know, my first memories of Waxwork is, now this is 1988, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. When I was a little young and I was watching Saturday night's main event on NBC, it was Hulk Hogan versus, I think, King Kong Bundy on Saturday night's main event. And during the commercial breaks, they was advertising Waxwork. And that's my opinion of that. And I think there was also, or my recollection of that. I also think, yeah.
That's Chuck's review. That's his opinion.
Look here, I'm tired as well. I've had a rough week. But
Chuck's review, Hulk Hogan rules. No.
Yeah, and I think there was also advertising Throw Mama from the Train. Did that come out around the same time?
Wouldn't surprise me.
Could be.
So, yeah. But, no, some say I ripped this movie off a little bit. It's my movie, but I don't know if that's true. If I did, it was subconscious.
I mean, in the sense maybe that, like, you could argue it's an anthology movie and a slasher movie combined, sort of, kind of.
Well, it's like, okay, so in my movie, if you haven't seen my movie, Door 1, 5 Doors Hell, cheap plug, you can put a link down below.
I will.
Like, people
After
get
all,
sucked into
on it.
That's true. That is true. I forgot about that.
Of course, I don't make any fucking money off it.
No.
Yeah, I didn't make any money off of it. But anyway, you get sucked in, and it's a shot on videotape, and you get sucked into each segment of this anthology shot on video movie. Okay, and you have to live it out. So these people walk into a set of a waxwork museum, and they're forced to live out that setting, right? So yeah, I can see it, but it wasn't intentional.
Yeah.
Is that your synopsis?
It's a good movie though.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically the synopsis. But
yeah,
you know,
I mean, it's basically, yeah. I will say I did not expect it to be as waspy. I really was not expecting to start the movie up, and you're late for college, you know. Yeah, it's like, you can't have coffee. You're not grown up enough yet. Yeah, don't treat the servants nicely.
But before you even get to that, though, it's pretty fun to open up with a guy whose head is on fire in the fireplace.
Oh yeah, that was good. Yeah,
that'll get your attention right off the bat. Which this is a horror comedy. If nobody realized it, it's horror comedy, and I would say it's done right because there's the right mix of funny with the right mix of horror.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have thoughts on that fact, but they don't really apply here. But yeah, I think it's a better balance here.
Yeah.
Even though the movie says a lot of times it's like the idea is it's supposed to be the worst things from history, they're all horror themed ones. You know, which
because some of these things aren't actually from history.
Right.
Yeah.
I think, in all honesty, only that I can recall is just one of these wax exhibits is actually historical, like fairly accurate. Yeah.
Technically, and that'd be the Mummy you're talking about, probably.
Yeah, the Mummy and what Marquis de Sade.
Yes, yeah, technically Marquis de Sade would count too.
But it's also starring you have to give me your name because I don't do research, but the chick that is also in April Fool's Day, right?
What?
Deborah Foreman?
I think that's the lead, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that April Fool's Day? She's in April Fool's Day?
I don't know. So this was directed by Anthony Hickox.
Same person who directed the sequel.
Correct. And it stars Deborah Foreman and Zach Galligan.
Mm-hmm. Zach Galligan being, of course,
Gremlins.
Yep, lead of Gremlins. Yeah, I thought I beat you to it. Sorry.
It's all right.
Mm-hmm. It's also got the guy from Twin Peaks, right?
Bobby Briggs.
Are you referring to David Warner?
Yes.
No. Dana Ashbrook.
Bobby Briggs.
Yep. So, group of college kids, they get invited to an after-hours pre-opening tour of the new local Waxwork.
Only bring 6 people.
Yeah, you can bring 6 people.
Yeah.
And,
for the record, credit to Chuck. She is Muffy in April Fool's Day, yes.
Aha!
Good job, Chuck.
I also thought she's also in Valley Girl.
Valley Girl, bunch of stuff,
yeah.
Continue.
That's beside the point, obviously.
Yeah.
David Warner is the curator. And, I mean, essentially, just as Chuck said, everybody they've got their dates, and they go in, and they're all going to different exhibits, and when they cross the little,
rope.
Red velvet rope that you find at a movie theater, they get sucked in, and they don't really realize it at first.
I think the werewolf one. Oh, sorry. The werewolf one is the one that's the most obvious. He doesn't realize it. He's just kind of like, this is all kind of weird and stuff like that. But like the vampire one, she's kind of going along with it. The mummy one, middle of the road. He kind of goes along with, kind of doesn't. Marquis de Sade one definitely goes along with it.
Well, and it's interesting because she is obsessed with Marquis de Sade.
Yeah, and that's
like
something I found weird about this
lustful,
and the other movie.
Like lustful, and it just so happens that there is a Marquis de Sade exhibit.
Yeah. Well, she's supposed to be a virgin, so they're implying not too subtly that she doesn't understand. She wants what she doesn't have, basically.
Yeah, but like from the reason some of them just kind of go with it, obviously, is like when I was doing my movies, you don't want every single person that ends up in a situation to go through the motions of, I'm in this, I'm stuck in the wax thing. You don't want to go through
that. No, absolutely. Yeah. I didn't have a problem with it.
This thing was a little bloodier than... Oh, yeah. This thing was bloodier than I remembered it being when I watched it.
Oh, yeah, the effects are great.
I'm telling you what.
Mm-hmm.
So, Bobby Briggs and the werewolf exhibit. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Awesome werewolf. It's been a while since I watched it. I know I watched it like at the beginning of quarantine. But I don't think we see like an actual transformation, do we?
Kinda do,
no,
but not much.
They're kind of in the motions.
It's like he kind of partially transforms, and that's about it.
Well, and there's one, and it's like off camera.
Yeah.
But awesome looking werewolf.
Mm-hmm.
And the effects, the gore on that one's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know me, I love werewolf movies. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's my favorite one.
It's no silver bullet, but it's good, But I thought I was also impressed with the strength of the mummy.
Yes.
For something that's been dead for however long he'd been dead, he was still in pretty good shape.
Mm-hmm. He looked good too.
But
this movie, a bad looking mummy.
When I was a kid, I seen this on VHS. I'm sure a lot of people watched this ad, and of course, I didn't see it again until that weird. You remember they had the 8 movie pack came out from Lionsgate. And everybody was trying to track it down. There's 3 or 4 different sets. And I ended up having to buy it on eBay for double the price. And,
I remember that.
And, of course, now I've got the Blu-ray of it and so Tubi. But, it's just a fun movie. That's what I like about it. It's fun. It's never dull. There's some really interesting characters, from the little person that answers the door, to the guy that runs the wax museum. And the cast is good. So it's and 1988, I don't have a list of horror movies from 1988 at my disposal right now, but I feel like this is definitely something that would have been one of the best of the year, in my opinion.
I mean, it's it's a really good movie, and I can't off the top of my head think of when I think of 80s horror, I think of 1981. But yeah, no, it's awesome. I mean, I've loved this ever since I was a kid. I remember renting it on VHS from our local place. It was across the street from my cousin's house.
Yep.
And I had this on DVD, and then I didn't see the sequel until I was in college. But that's when I started aggressively collecting movies.
Sure.
I didn't see the sequel until I got the 8-pack. But now, Newsfinder, now you obviously didn't see this when you were young.
Right.
You know, you don't have that nostalgic factor going for you. So for somebody seeing this with fresh eyes, how did you feel about it?
So one thing I will say is I don't know if I agree about the goodness of the characters. I think they kind of earn it a little bit as you go in, but mostly they were kind of ticking me off. I mentioned how waspy it felt. They were very waspy, like very, very rich, very, very rich people problems kind of thing. That does kind of irk me. But David Warner is a treasure and a gift, and the movie needs more of him. The effects are fantastic. You know, you mentioned the two guys who work in the waxwork. The scene where David Warner comes out and screams out, "What the hell are you doing? Why'd you kill him?" That was great.
He was so happy he killed him at first, you know.
Yeah, I know. That's so good.
He thought he did well.
You know, and it's definitely better than I was expecting. At the same time, like what I wrote at one point was, this is so 80s cheese in a good way. I have to ask you this, W. Why? I mean, obviously, because it's on wax, because it's vinyl. Did Waxwork name themselves after this? Because the soundtrack in this movie is great. The score is really good. In the
I don't
first
know
movie.
if they did. I don't know if they did or not.
Because I was really
honest.
impressed with the music in the movie as well. No, it's very well handled. It was a bit weird just how much they telegraphed the Desaad stuff, like you mentioned. It's a little weird how hard they ram that down your throat through half the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it's definitely worthwhile. I really enjoyed it.
And it had it has a twist to it that you don't really see coming, because how fucking could you?
Yeah, I mean, and not even just that. It's the concept of, you would expect a movie like this to go a certain way, particularly when it gets near the end. You know, you'd expect a certain thing to happen, and then the movie goes, "Yeah, no, we're not doing that this way. We're going this way with it instead." Basically,
it went it almost went zany with it.
Mm. Yeah, and in a way that fits. You know,
sure.
As strange as it is, as zany as it is, to see that, it fits with what they're going with. So yeah, I mean, I'm in about the camp of a 4, 3.5 if I was on a bad day, but a 4 probably. We were talking about Tubi, and you mentioned you are pretty sure Tubi's using the rips that were from the DVD that you talked about.
Well, for part 1 at least.
Yeah, for part 1 at least. And the thing is, like I said, that doesn't really hurt the movie though.
No.
Like that's how you saw it back then, like you guys did. You saw it on VHS, or you saw it on advertised during Saturday Night's Main Event. That's how you saw it. It's part of the charm of that movie. That's not to say you wouldn't enjoy seeing it on Blu-ray like you would do a Friday the 13th or a Nightmare on Elm Street, but it still works that way, kind of thing.
Yeah. It just surprised me because those 8-packs, which this is a little bit of a side story here, but those 8-packs were very sought after. I think now 90% of everything that was on the 8-packs is now on Blu-ray.
Or at least has some kind of really awesome Blu-ray of some kind, yeah.
But when they come out, like, everybody had to have them, but there wasn't a whole lot of stuff on there that was actually widescreened and looking nice. A lot of that stuff was just full screen. One exception is, I feel like, I can't remember if Slaughter High was actually widescreen or full screen on that set, because I think the only full screen version of that, the only widescreen version of that I've got, because I actually don't have the Vestron release of it yet, was I have an Arrow DVD that was in widescreen. So a lot of that stuff on those sets looked like it was VHS rips.
I've got the Arrow, but those sets, I mean, a lot of that stuff was already out of print, or some of it I think had not even been released.
In a while. Yeah. I have all of them. I have one of them. The one with Waxwork was Waxwork 976 Evil 2, Ghoulies 3, Ghoulies Go to College. That was the weird thing about these. They always just threw the most random sequels for no reason onto the set. The Unholy.
I wish they still did more sets like that.
They should. Chud 2, Chopping Mall, Slaughter High, and Class of 1999. My favorite was the one that was the 6-pack. That one, you mentioned ones that came with widescreen. I'm pretty sure that was the first time they put Blood Diner out on a widescreen. I had been dying for Blood Diner to get a good release, and finally it got a blue through the Vestron. But yeah, Blood Diner, Parents, Earth Girls Are Easy, Sundown, The Vampire in Retreat, Boy Eats Girl, and Fido.
See, the thing about that was when that came out, like, people were ready because they were supposed to be doing a Blood Diner, like, special edition DVD or something.
Oh, yeah, Jack
and then they just didn't do it and just ended up throwing the transfer on this, you know. But, you know, I think like the last 8-pack they did that I remember, they did the last 2 good sets they did like that, talking about Lionsgate, was they did one with 1 year of the 8 films to die for all on one set. And I wish they'd have done that for every year.
They did a couple of those, actually.
Every year, I'd love that. Yeah. And then they did one for the Masters of Horror, which had the whole season on it.
They did 2 of them for Masters of Horror with the whole season. Both seasons.
Did they?
Yeah, I didn't know they actually did full.
I've only got the first one. I need the second one.
Because it was a mausoleum set for the first one.
Yeah, the mausoleum was one. Yep.
And then the second season, the second season was a skull, and the top of the skull came off, and the disc set in it.
Yep.
Oh, well, I mean, no, I'm talking about like the cheap 8 or whatever films on one set thing. They did it for the first season of Masters of Horror.
Oh.
I don't recall ever seeing that one. I know about the ones for the After Dark, but.
Oh yeah, I know what he's talking about. Yeah, they had that, and that was cool. But like they did like the 8 film set like they did for Waxwork. They did one for 1 year of the After Dark Horror Fest.
Incidentally, Chuck, I know you have it. I know you think a lot about having like slipcases for everything. Do you have the individual disc releases of Masters of Horror? Because I was looking at mine yesterday, and I was like, did you see what they did during that? Where they started off with like the first 6 releases was Masters of Horror, some color, and a director name. Then they switched to some color, Masters of Horror, the name of the episode. Then on season 2, they changed it from color to gray with the name of the episode, and one of the episodes in season 1 has that too. It was like literally intentionally just trying to make it as hard as possible to be clean. Yeah. Yeah.
I think like the only individual DVD I have out of any of them is I think I have Cigarette Burns, I think. But I have like that set I was telling you about, the cheap set. But I want to eventually just go back and get the Blu-rays of those, you know, with all the seasons.
Usually you can find some of the volumes pretty cheap for that. Like the ones they would put like 2 or 3 on at once.
The local McKay's in Chattanooga has them or had them, so I'm thinking about finally picking them up down there, just to have them Blu-ray or HD. But back to Waxwork though. When this come out for Vestron, like this one was one that everybody wanted, and I remember like it was.
Sorry, I thought it was the first for a second. Go ahead.
No, it wasn't. What was it? What was
it? Was like second or third. First was Chopping Mall, I think.
Yeah.
Chopping Mall and Blood Diner, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. I don't even know. I think I've got every one of these, but I don't have Maximum Overdrive, and I don't have Slaughter High. But Maximum Overdrive was at Walmart for like $30. I didn't want to pay $30 for it at Walmart on Blu-ray, so that's on me. That's on me. You know.
I just picked up the gate myself.
That's $30 that should be being charged for a copy of Maximum Overdrive.
But you see, I'm not like all these people we talked about in the last episode online, because every one I've got but Chopping Mall and Blood Diner are with a slipcase. I got them cheap without a slipcase. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, and I don't know how many of you actually shop at Grindhouse Video, but I bought these movies like one day, and then 3 days later, he's back on there like, oh, I found some with slipcases for the same price. And I was like, well, I should have waited 3 days. You know, of course, he didn't acknowledge my comment, but that kind of bugs me a little bit. But beside the point, though, Waxwork 1 is a 4 to me.
I agree.
All day is a 4.
Mm-hmm.
And just to point out real quick,
2 maybe not as much.
Yeah. While we're talking about it real quick, just to point out, we didn't do much news, but I will point out Vestron, they announced but haven't really gone into detail yet. They're getting ready to do Shivers and Little Monsters on really, really surprisingly lowly priced Blu-rays with extra special features and stuff like that.
What's the price
And
on these?
$12, something like $13.
I will say,
What?
yeah,
Really? I'm
you can
surprised. I
get
didn't know this.
you can get both of them right now at a pre-order price, a 2-pack essentially from Diabolic for $22.99.
You know, I
Once they
thought the
come back
line
from
was
vacation.
dead, boys. I thought
Sure,
it was dead.
which this will be after their vacation.
So they kept posting. The guy who runs the Vestron Video Facebook page kept posting they were not dead. They were planning stuff. They were working on stuff. Today he posted he's handing it over to someone who does a page for a different. Sorry, he usually does a different page, the MVD Rewind collection. He does the MVD Rewind collection.
Yeah.
He was also running a fan page, but they would give him information. He said he's turning it over to like more of an official person. So it definitely is still going on because they're still giving information out and putting some stuff out.
This is like the first
and I was like,
real
go ahead.
release of Shivers, right?
Oh yeah, that's what I was like. Really, Shivers?
No.
Holy crap!
No. There's an Australian Blu-ray.
Or
And
if you meet Lynn
I got
Lowry
it
at a
from-
convention, she'll sell you a copy of it.
She said, she got what?
If you meet Lynn Lowry at a convention, or at least the time I met her, she actually sold me a copy of Shivers with her autograph on the DVD.
But like I've got a Blu-ray of it from a Cronenberg collection from Australia, and it looks good. I'm assuming it's going to be the very same transfer.
Oh, probably. That tends to be how it works. Like I've seen a few things that come out, like Cauldron. We haven't talked about it much yet. If we're going to do Cauldron in a future episode, but they're getting ready to do American Rickshaw. And I was reading that review that was posted on Mondo Digital today, and they said something about another country had done a release, and while they're doing a different transfer for the Cauldron one, some of the special features are carried over from the other release. So they do that kind of
thing. I got mine in the other day. I'm going to try and watch them maybe this weekend.
I emailed Cauldron, and apparently I missed the memo that was Jesse's group, Jesse's label.
Yep.
Yeah. We've talked about that on the show. I'm positive.
And if not, you've definitely talked about it.
Yeah, but that was like episode 1 or whatever when we talked about it. So it was like he's the one that wrote back to me. So I mean, I was kind of embarrassed that I didn't realize it was him that I was sending my corporate, this is zombies.ro.net email to, because obviously he knows who I am. But it confused me because he's got 2 labels though. Like he's got this, but then he's got like just the regular one that he did the Freak Maker on.
Yeah.
That was just Diabolic, right?
Diabolic exclusive, yeah.
It's Diabolic. It's like another company and then them together. But Cauldron is Jesse's,
partially,
yeah. And I don't know if it's him and his co-owner, like his business partner for Diabolic, if it's them that both run it, but I know that everything I've seen from it's come from Jesse for the most part.
So, Waxwork
and also, since we're on news real quick, one news item, we forgot to mention this. Target is doing a exclusive steelbook trilogy for the House of a Thousand Corpses, The Devil's Rejects, and Three from Hell, all together in one steelbook.
On Blu-ray or 4K?
That's your Rob Zombie. It's Blu-ray, I believe.
Speaking of 4K news, go ahead.
It's the same disc you've already got, just thrown together.
Yeah, it's prettier steelbook case. In other 4K news, real quick, Universal announced they're doing Psycho, Rear Window, Vertigo, the usual Hitchcock 5 that they always put out on everything. They're getting ready to do 4K for that.
I might pick up Psycho.
That reminds me, everything now is in 4K. Like, you got all this 4K stuff now. And you get to Family Video, which I don't know if you guys still got a Family Video in your area or not.
I've never
had one.
You can get their used 4Ks like 2 for $5 right now. 4K. Because I walked in there and got Ready Player One and Vin together for $5.
Honestly, you probably can get the same deal on their website, W. So definitely look into that. Because they do tend to put a lot of used stuff on their website at good prices.
I worry about the state of physical media when 4Ks are going 2 for $5, even if they are used for a video store.
Well, maybe they bought like way too many.
Probably.
And
I think they're going out of business.
Well, that's possible. But what if they bought too many and not? I only know of a handful of people that have 4K players. So
Yeah, they're overestimating.
I can't figure out what exactly Family Video is doing anymore. I mean, because they started selling a bunch of CBD products, and that's whatever that is. But then they got like they get these new movies in, like slashers, independent movies, slashers, whatever. They're from Wild Eye, they're from wherever, and they get them in and they rent them for like 2-3 weeks, and they try to sell them immediately for $5.
That's old school video, as in like you'll remember. I don't know if you remember going into Blockbuster very much nowadays, but like in the later time period, you'd walk in and it's like, here's the new release, and it's just the wall in one shelf is like 30 copies of a thing, and then you give it like 3 weeks, and suddenly that wall is now half of that. The other stuff all went into that's not too abnormal.
My thing is, I was like, well, because they're selling like a lot of stuff, like a lot of their stuff's for selling right now.
Oh yeah,
cheap price.
Again, website. That's where I got. I got Detective Pikachu, John Wick 3, used Blu-rays of those for pretty good prices.
It's just, it's like you don't really have much of a variety though. If you're not going for something to just come out to rent, like if you're looking for an older title, they don't have much of a variety.
Oh no.
And my video stores back in the old days, which all my video stores I went to was like mom and pop places for the most part. I barely went to Blockbuster. And I was just used to like always going, and they barely had like a section that was for sale. Most of the stuff they had was just, they had the classics from the moment they opened till they finally had to get rid of them when they closed down, But it was variety, lots of variety. You can't get that anymore. That's my rant for today.
So my ex-brother-in-law, because my sister's 18 years older than I am, so she got married when I was very young. But my ex-brother-in-law managed the only Blockbuster around here for the majority of my life. It was in Morgantown, where West Virginia University is, and it was the #1 Blockbuster on the East Coast.
There you go.
For like 10 years. Yeah. And it had I'm sure it 100% had to do with that it was literally on campus.
Yep. We had one that was fairly close to campus at Seton Hall, and it pushed another mom and pop much better store out of business while I was still going to Seton Hall.
Yep.
We got a Blockbuster where I'm from like 5 years before Blockbuster went out of business.
So, Waxwork 2.
Waxwork 2.
So
the first one was 88. This one is 92. Still, again, directed by Anthony Hickox. Still starring Zach Galligan.
Yeah.
But Deborah Foreman did not come back to reprise her role of Sarah. We now have Monica Schnarr.
Yeah, I hate recasting.
It's, of course, in this particular case, it's weird because sometimes a recast and the movie's like taking place, a few months later. No, this sucker takes place 10 seconds after the previous movie ended.
Legitimately, when they escape the Waxwork, they go home. They share a cab. They go home, and this is, bam, that night.
I haven't seen a recasting
and they don't really,
sudden, or since Phantasm.
They don't really look alike.
No.
Not at all.
I'm pretty sure Monica Schnarr is about a foot taller than the other girl as well.
I'm pretty sure as well, yeah.
Different hair?
Yes, Lost in Time.
Which, let me get this out of the way real quick now. We were talking earlier about Night Killer and the fact that it is not in Texas, has no chainsaw, etc. Just let's get this out there now. Waxwork 2, Lost in Time, has no waxwork. Because it was burned in the first movie and is never seen in the second.
Correct. Yeah. But some of the magic from the waxwork, again, this is a whole part of the twist in the first movie, is able to take them back in time. But in all honesty, are they going back in time, or are they just going into movies?
Movies. With the exception of the very last one, movies. And even the last one, technically, you can make an argument.
So Zach Galligan has a grip on reality the entire movie. But the lead actress does not. Whenever she gets thrown into another thing, another scene, another film, she is completely, enthralled in the character.
Yeah. I felt like that actually was the closest thing they did to keeping the character the same from the first movie, considering just how willing she was to dive into Marquis de Sade's the exhibit, to have her basically just be like, no, yeah, I totally believe I'm on the spaceship, kind of thing.
Yeah, so, but it's like though, here, how about this connection? First thing you see in this movie, you got a killer hand on the run, and you have Bruce Campbell in this movie.
Yeah.
Not only do you have Bruce Campbell in this movie, you have Drew Barrymore.
I thought so.
And you have David Carradine.
I was like, is that Drew Barrymore? Yeah. Is that young Drew Barrymore in a bed for no reason?
Since I obviously can't remember when this came out, was this a wide release? Like, was this a big theatrical thing when it came out?
No, but I think in '92, Drew Barrymore, she had a decent film career, and then something happened to her.
Yeah, she had some problems.
Drugs?
And I don't remember.
I
was being subtle, but
facetious.
Ain't nobody gonna sue us. We ain't got nothing to get. That's what movies.
So
that was the whole thing with Scream. Scream basically was the recovery of her.
It jump started her career again. But so yeah, they're just going through all these different times and trying to get back to modern day.
Mm.
And again, when we say times, we mean different films, because there's Night of the Living Dead, there's
go ahead,
Alien, Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm. I've got a list. I only did Frankenstein. Alien.
Yeah, I got Alien on there. King Arthur,
and then there's a sequence near the end where it hits Jekyll and Hyde, Dawn of the Dead, Jack the Ripper, Nosferatu, Godzilla, and even a tiny little hint of Pod People.
Yes. And they're the one with Bruce Campbell, it's like, I don't know what movie it really would be,
Haunting.
But is it The Haunting? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, it is a haunting. Like, that's the whole point of it.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Campbell's pretty damn funny in it.
Bruce Campbell's amazing in this movie. Bruce Campbell is playing Bruce Campbell. I have a note here where I said I believe he has a business card that says takes bodily punishment at low fees.
I mean, is he never not? When is he ever playing a character that's not this character, though?
I mean, back then, that was basically the character.
Maniac Cop, maybe?
The End of Intruder.
Yeah. Yeah, for the 2 seconds he's in the Intruder.
Top build.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like this movie, though. I like this movie. It's fun. It's not as fun, I don't think, as the second one. I think it loses a little bit of its oomph in there this time around. I don't like the recast. Although you could say this chick's hotter, but still, I don't like recasting. There's still some good gore here and there, like when the blood shoots out of the sink and all that stuff.
Heads get crushed.
All in all, I like it. I don't like it as much, but I also want to know why we didn't get a Waxwork 3, because we could have just did a full-fledged trilogy out of all this stuff.
Yes, you could have.
Because
I was
the
ending,
the same thing.
Well, there you go. We talked last week about you making a witchcraft. Now you can make a Waxwork.
There it is. I mean, well, I did. It's called Door 1, 5 Doors L, right? Buy it. If you like this, buy it.
Release it in Italy. Call it Waxwork 3.
There you go.
This definitely loses steam.
Movie, so it wouldn't matter.
What's up?
I said this definitely loses steam for me. Like, especially, it starts dragging around Alien for me, big time.
Yeah, it's a bit weird.
Frankenstein is great.
Mm-hmm.
And King Arthur drags as well. And that's
Very
probably
much.
the biggest
It's like
one.
40 minutes of the movie at the end.
Yes.
I like it, just like you guys still do, but you talked about the balance before it hit as a horror comedy in the first movie. That balance is gone. This is not a horror comedy. This is a comedy. I actually told my wife after the fact, it's not even a horror comedy. It's an adventure comedy, basically.
It is. Yeah.
And that's fine. Just, you didn't have to call it Waxwork 2. There are ways you could have made this movie.
No.
I don't know what it was, but Zach Galligan was really ticking me off at the beginning of the movie because you seemed like a giant asshole the whole time.
Maybe he really didn't want to be here.
No, that's the thing. I think it was he was trying to play the character that way. He seemed like he had a ball. I think he enjoyed the shit out of his scenes with David Carradine and Bruce Campbell in particular.
Yeah.
Like, well, yeah. I mean that scene alone is what makes the movie worth it. Is just the Bruce Campbell scene on its own is so well done, and he's so good in that scene. I hated the music compared to the first one.
Yeah.
I said, first I told you before we got on the air, I said, was it just me or was he ripping off Suspiria's notes for half the score? And then the second half of the score, it sounds like he ripped off 90s porn, particularly for the King Arthur part, basically. The alien part, you mentioned it drags. It is also edited really badly. It like just goes, like jumps around every so often. And I get it. You don't want to show the alien too much, but at the same time, the alien design's not bad. The alien design looks good.
It looks cool.
Yeah, it's just really weirdly like jump cutty. I don't get it. The only other thing that I wanted to say in terms of what I didn't like, is he every so often he says something where it's like the Loch Ness monster ate the book, or I got this giant coffin from Haiti, and you never see it. But damn it, we had to build sets for the end of the movie for the sword fight to go through 5 different movies. You know, we could have shrunk that part and used some of the money to actually do the Hades stuff. That would probably have been better. You know,
that would have been really cool.
You know, but in the general sense, though,
that's a trend at the time.
I mean, if you think about Shocker,
start and just go through, Shocker. What's the other one? Stay Tuned. You go through different stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of movies that basically were supposed to be you flipping channels or watching TV as like comedy movies anyway. Mm-hmm. I did enjoy it, but it is definitely a big step down, and there's a lot of problems with it. Not the least of which is I still want someone to explain to me how exactly bringing absolutely anything they're trying to bring home gets her off a murder charge.
Proof.
Because that's the conceit of every single thing they're trying to do. Is if you bring this home, the prosecution won't have a case. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would arise more questions.
A little bit, yeah.
But yeah, of course, that's something we didn't even touch on. But
I mean, yeah, we didn't really mention that aspect of it and why that's a thing, but it's not a huge spoiler because we didn't explain why. But like I said, that's just like, it's the kind of thing where I can watch this movie and I can nitpick it, and I got a lot of problems with it. There's a lot worse things out there than this movie. There's a lot worse horror sequels out there in this movie, and there's a lot of things it still does well. Like, even if it's too much comedy, it's still more often than not is passable horror comedy, even if it's groany and cheesy sometimes.
Sure. And like you said, there's great effects, there's great gore. It's enjoyable, but it's definitely not on par with the original or the first.
Yeah. So
I'd give it for me. I was going to say I'd give it a 3.
Same here. Yeah,
it's just all on the same page.
When are we going to have a different opinion on something?
Next week, Hatchet. No.
Okay.
Chuck goes into a 20-minute rant about Adam Green taking down his podcast.
And then I go into a 20-minute rant about how to praise New Orleans.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
I can't say nothing I haven't already said before about it.
But anyway.
Wouldn't stop you.
No.
But no, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just we're picking movies that, I will say this, and getting back to a point from a few episodes ago, I keep seeing lists that put Blood Quantum as one of the best movies of the year so far. Just going to say that sentence and leave that floating out there, given what we talked about with the movie.
Of things that I've watched from this year? Sure.
I haven't seen a whole lot.
I mean, I haven't seen a whole lot of this year's stuff either. But
and I don't know if I could tell you if I've watched 10 films from this year so far.
True. Like I said, I'm not going to...
So like, Invisible Man was good, but it
Invisible
wasn't
what
everybody said it was.
Most people's number one.
Here's the thing, though. Like, it's a little slower than I anticipated. Maybe we can review that sometime. I'll save that one. But I liked it though. I just didn't love it like everybody else loved it.
Mm. I got no idea on that one. That being
But
said,
now,
we gotta find Candyman. I really want to see Candyman.
Yeah, do what?
I said we got to find a way to do Candyman.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll all just get our bio suits and we'll go to the theater and watch it.
I had Waxwork on my anthologies list, I believe, which caused a whole debate.
No, it's an anthology. There's no, there is no debate. It's an anthology.
And we've had this conversation in our chat before.
Mm-hmm.
When you posted
that. We have, yes, and yes. So yeah, we won't be seeing Candyman though in theaters because I don't think theaters are going to be open when Candyman comes out.
Nah, September at the moment.
But AMC theaters were
Boys,
open.
I don't think we're doing nothing. I think they were. Are they going to stay open? That remains to be seen. I think we're looking at probably from this day today, the 1st of July when we're recording this. I say we're looking at about 1 year, boys, before we're ever able to go back to normal.
Fully, I would agree. Partially, we'll probably be some point in the middle there. We'll be able to, maybe February or March, but fully,
gotta get a vaccine.
Yep.
Well,
But now here's my problem. Now I have a delay. That's why I'm not really talking to y'all, but I know there's a little bit of delay on my end. But
Chuck's got super fast internet.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. Yeah, but Chuck's also got like 5 people on it right now. So the thing is like there's some things we don't have a cure for. You know what I mean? Like there's cancer we can't cure. There's herpes. You ain't got a cure for herpes, okay? You ain't got a cure for male pattern baldness. So how do we know this is going to be something we even got a cure for?
One of those things is not like the others. Just throwing that out there.
But still, you know what I'm saying. I'm just saying.
Are you telling that you sound something you're worried a little bit about there, Chuck?
No,
in
I'm
terms
good.
Of seriousness.
I'm good. Thank you very much. I'm just saying though, there's no cure. I'm just saying I'm listing things there's no cure for. I mean, how do you know Corona don't come back? You know.
Well, there have been people that got it, recovered, and then got it again.
I suppose the antibodies don't last as long as people think they do.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's the pig vase one that's starting up now, but that one hopefully... No, I'm not even going to finish that sentence because it's just going to make my head hurt if I finish that sentence when I say the word hopefully after that.
You know how... Y'all know how this ends, right? Like a meteor is going to just take us out. That's how this ends.
That may not be a bad thing.
There's a lot of movies I'd like to watch before it hits. So.
No, what's going to end up happening is a meteorite will strike, but you'll survive. Mm-hmm. There'll still be electricity. You'll be like, there's time, and then your TV will break. And then...
I was going somewhere else with this. I've seen when the wind blows. I know how this ends.
Man, I always go with the Twilight Zone.
Yeah. You can't go wrong if you go with the Twilight Zone. So
I don't know. There's a petition going on now because my wife's a teacher that for this county, well, the county she teaches in, not the one we live in, that they're thinking, okay, well, maybe we rotate classrooms like every other day. So many students go to school, and then there's smaller classrooms, wear masks, social distance.
Yeah.
Parents are being like, I don't want my kid to wear a mask. Kids aren't going to wear masks.
Look here, people won't wear masks anyway, okay? At the wrestling show I wrestle at, we pass out masks. We have hand sanitizer. These people don't use it. None of it.
I just went and spent $1,800 on fucking lumber to build a new deck. And I went into Home Depot and there's a giant sign on the doors that says, all customers coming into the store must wear a mask. Thank you, blah, 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 management. I had mine on. Person in front of me had theirs on. No, they weren't giving them out. But I'd say...
That's a problem.
There was but even if you give them out, you just said it yourself. They don't wear them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're a store, though, and you're handing them out, then you can enforce them to wear them. But now if you want them to spend their money and they got a mask, then you have a choice to make. Are you going to kick them out and lose that money that you got to have? or are you going to tell them, are you going, I mean, you got that problem, so.
I mean, all three of us live in different states.
Well, I would kick them out, obviously.
Well, no. What I mean is, you're talking about you handed out the masks in Tennessee at the show, and no one wore them. Yeah. You're talking about going to Home Depot and have the sign,
Yeah.
And nobody wears them.
Yeah, regardless of what you people say when you see the pictures of that show, that wrestling show I go to is pretty packed. Okay? And I believe out of everybody in the crowd, there was one lady wearing a mask this week.
Right, and
Good for her.
But I was about to say, I don't know what the curve looks like in Tennessee. I don't know what it's looking like in West Virginia.
There's no curve.
I was just saying, that's the thing. In most cases, there is no. It's just straight. Yeah, exactly. Dance Commander is in Virginia. I know he's got his own.
No, he's here. West Virginia.
Oh, I'm sorry. Then, okay, same thing.
We live in the same city.
I'm sorry. I always misunderstood that a bit. I'm in Maryland.
And Tyler's in Boston.
Our curve is down, and the signage that says, wear your mask. Most people wear their mask. So do I feel more comfortable in this state? Sure. But at the same time, we'll go to a Wawa, and somebody will be sitting there with their mask on, and they'll go and start talking to somebody, pull their mask down just to talk back and forth. Oh, trust me, we have plenty.
The more, the more redneck your state is, the worse it is for people wearing masks. The people that do wear a mask around here, they don't wear them properly. Their nose is uncovered. That defeats the purpose. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and about the wrestling, I'm a good guy. I have to slap hands when I come out. I'm.
Oh yeah.
You should.
I pack sanitizer.
You should put some sanitizer in your trunks and before you get in the ring.
I did that one week. But now I'm done anyway. Like I said, I'm retired at this point. Even if I was to go back, I'm not going back until all this stuff is dying down because I don't feel comfortable with it anymore at this rate.
Maybe I'll put a clip at the end of this while you're retiring.
Yeah, right. That wasn't that bad, believe it or not. The worst part of that match, which you ain't seen the whole match, but the worst part of that match was there was a kendo stick wrapped with barbed wire I got hit with right at the start, and it went my back and it stuck. So it was as soon as the match started and I got hit with that, I was on the ground thinking this is a bad idea.
Wrestling may be predetermined, but it hurts like a bitch.
That's the worst thing though. The chairs were supposed to bend or break. Which you see the spot on TV, the chairs bend or break. I'm not a small person, and the chairs did not break.
They bent. I did see that.
Yeah,
but it still looked like it fucking hurt.
What you're saying is I should send some of these clips over to Botchamania and make the internet famous.
We really should. And boys, I'm gonna tell you, I have trouble. I'm still having trouble with the lower part of my back after last weekend. So. I'm not a young spring chicken anymore. So, if I want to be able to walk upright when I'm 37. I'm 37. That's not 40. But if I want to be able to walk upright when I am in my 40s, I think I probably need to step away.
Fair enough.
But I was over, though, and I was one of the top good guys, and they love me.
I think so. That's about it this week.
Speaking of stepping away, we're going to step away.
Yep.
That was our long rant for this week.
Yes.
But
thanks for tuning in.
I think way better than. Yeah, that, and also the only other thing we have to say is download and use Tubi.
Tubi.
Yes.
Tubi.
Not paid for or sponsored by.
Correct.
And if you want to watch this without ads, get the paid for YouTube, by the way. Most of the people hate the ads on this, or is it? So.
Yeah, and with ads, you can just listen to the audio, or with the YouTube Pro or fucking whatever it's
Premium
called.
Premium or whatever they call
Premium,
it.
yeah.
YouTube Red.
Yeah.
It used to be Red. Now I think it's just Premium.
To get the audio from the video. There's other means that you can get the audio from the video.
Yep. We'll leave it at that.
Use your friend Google.
Yep.
Well, that's it.
Yep.
Thanks for tuning in. Waxwork 1 and 2. And we'll see again real soon. We have no idea what we're doing next, but it should be maybe something that'll actually we might disagree on. Who knows?
Mm.
Like,
Maybe.
share, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and tell Chuck to shut up on Twitter.
Yep.
Check on it.